Hey, hey guys, gotta get a few out the way. Do you like this? Hey guys, welcome to our channel. Today. Hey guys, I'm Chris and this is Ray.
We are Dallas-Fort Worth wedding photographers with over 8 years of experience in the industry, and we are passionate about educating and equipping other photographers in their craft and business.
Yeah, so one of the ways we are doing this is this series here on YouTube, where we're going to teach you the foundational pillars that you need to make it as a wedding photographer.
All right, so let's get into it.
All right, hey guys, welcome to our YouTube channel. Today we're going to get started on a series called The Foundations of Wedding Photography for Beginners.
So this series is, like we said, for beginners. So if you have never ever shot a wedding, never ever second shot a wedding, this is a great course for you. If you have done a little bit of that, maybe you've second shot a little bit, maybe you've done one wedding that you did for a friend for your aunt's cousin's uncle or something, great. Then this is still a good place for you. So we're going to be covering all the foundational things that are really necessary for a person who is pursuing wedding photography to know. So we're going to have, let's just jump into it actually. Let's go to the next slide about this course. We just said what this was. We'll skip this one. Okay. I'm going to make this one smaller now because this can live up here.
So you are going to make it smaller. Just FYI, we're going to fix the bubble issues in the modules to come, so don't worry about it.
Okay, so this course is going to have nine modules in which we're going to cover all kinds of foundational things. Quick note, these are not necessarily in the order of which they are going to be taught, so just keep that in mind. So the first module is going to be all about the foundation. So everything that you need to know before you pursue wedding photography. So it's going to be things like, is this the right job for you? Because this is not really the right job for everybody.
Nope.
We'll talk about the good, the bad, and the ugly. So we'll tell you all the things that we love about being wedding photographers and all the things that are not so good about being wedding photographers. And then we're going to talk about going full-time or being part-time and what the right option is for you. I have several good friends who work full-time jobs during the week and then moonlight as a wedding photographer. So there's drawbacks to both.
Could be a good course of action there. Okay.
We're going to talk about doing local weddings versus doing destination weddings. We're also going to cover second shooting, so getting started in second shooting, getting hired for jobs, because it can be really hard when you're have no wedding experience and you're reaching out to wedding photographers willing to second shoot and you can't get traction on it. So I'm going to teach you exactly how you can increase your chances of getting hired for those second shooting jobs.
Yeah, we're going to cover what you need to get started, the type of emergency / backup plans that you need to plan for.
Like what if you die?
Yeah, I mean, what if you die? You got to plan for those. We're going to be covering your first client. What do you do with them? We're going to talk about setting goals for your business, and we're going to be talking about how to know when you're ready to start photographing your own wedding.
Okay, another module we're going to do is going to be all about the wedding day. So this is going to be like what you need to know for the actual wedding day. So that's going to include prepping for your weddings, timelines, creating timelines, working with planners on timelines. We'll talk a little bit about posing and the different styles of posing, whether it's editorial, documentary, candid, organic, timeless, classic, all those kinds of things.
All the good stuff.
All the good things. We'll talk about wedding day etiquette and expectations, because if you've never been to a wedding and you don't know what to expect or how to handle yourself, maybe some good things to know. Yeah. We'll also talk about getting ready photos, because I know that is a big pain point for a lot of beginner photographers, because the getting ready rooms can just sometimes they're beautiful.
Yeah. Along with the getting ready photos, I mean, throughout the wedding day, photos change throughout the wedding day. So we're going to be doing the getting ready photos. We're going to be doing the portraits, the group photos, how to cover the ceremony. And then we're going to start talking about the different markets that there is in the wedding industry and how to work with videographers, because we can be difficult.
Okay, another one of the modules we will be teaching is art and technique. So this is going to be things like,
tell us about it,
the mood and the tone of the images that you're taking, the voice behind your unique voice as an artist. We'll talk about shooting digital versus film, because film is on the rise. Once again, everything is cyclical.
Yep.
We'll talk a little bit about color theory, and then we'll also talk about the shooting workflow, so how to get into a good workflow on the wedding day so that you're capturing everything that you want and need. We're going to talk about the different lighting choices that you can make throughout the day. We'll talk about composition, making sure that you have aesthetically pleasing framing. We'll talk about the storytelling behind wedding photography, and then we'll talk about the different types of photography styles and kind of related to voice, but you're an artist.
Yeah.
Yep.
Then we get to the fun area, talking about gear and the settings that you need on the wedding day. Let's click into it. Let's see what we got.
I'm gonna get there.
All right, so we're going to go over the basic settings that you need in your camera. We're going to talk about gear, so we're going to talk about camera body, we're going to camera lenses, we're going to compare brands that are on the market right now. We're going to get into what lighting gear you need to have. We're going to really get into the gear that you must have to start wedding photography, and then the gear you can, save until you get a little bit more money. We're also going to be talking about shooting in a manual mode versus a semi-manual mode. Get into the differences between that. And then we're going to dive into deep menu settings in your camera to make sure you are getting the best product out of your camera that you can, and the autofocus modes that you'll need throughout the day.
Okay, then we'll do a whole module about editing. So in this module, we're going to talk about the best programs for editing in, the different culling processes, things that I do to make my culling smoother, easier, faster. We'll talk about working with presets, developing your own presets, how presets can be helpful or how they can hinder your editing. We'll talk about the histogram and making sure that you have a properly exposed image. I'll teach you guys some editing tricks. We'll talk about the skin tones and how you can nail skin tones while you're editing, and also that definitely starts with the shooting. We'll talk about deciding as you're editing whether to make an image color or black and white, or whether to do a copy of both. I'll probably also do, I'm not going to probably do it, it's on here.
You're going to do it.
I'm going to do a live editing demo.
Absolutely.
Where I will work through either a handful of wedding images or an engagement or a bridal session or both or whatever. I haven't decided that yet. And then I'll also talk about the settings for exporting and uploading images so that they are crisp and sharp and perfect, and the different settings that you need for the different areas that you're uploading them to. And then we'll just troubleshoot some various editing woes.
Yeah.
Yeah.
The things that you encounter.
Yeah.
Let's talk about some film photography, because that's back in nowadays.
So in this module, we're going to talk about just the very basics of film. We'll talk about the different looks that you can get from film, the different film stocks, Kodak, Fuji, 35 millimeter film versus medium format film.
Yeah. And then we're going to talk about some a little more fun film options, which are like Polaroids, disposable cameras, that really help you kind of add to your portfolio. Talk about scanning your photos in and integrating them into your workflow.
Okay, then another module is going to talk all about the client experience. So giving your clients a 5-star experience. So that's going to cover everything from the very beginning, like the client's very first encounter with you when they inquire with you. We'll talk about client calls and onboarding. We'll talk about working with planners, especially if you're going to be working in a luxury market or you want to work in a luxury market one day. That's a really big one. We'll talk about the different levels of service that you could provide, and then we'll talk about automating your workflow so that none of your clients are falling through the cracks and you're not forgetting things and they're not going ignored.
And that keeps you from ripping your hair off.
Yeah. We'll talk about sending clients either packages or custom proposals and which is the right option for you. And then we'll talk about going the extra mile and really just impressing your clients and making them feel loved and cared for. We'll also talk a little bit about what happens after the wedding to keep that client experience at a 5 out of 5.
Yeah. Go the extra for your client.
Mm-hmm. You want to do the next two?
Yeah. We're also going to get into how to handle tough situations, because they will arise, and what do you need to do to get through them. And then in the spirit of going the extra mile, we're going to talk about how to do sneak peeks. We're going to talk about gifts and all sorts of other things.
And more.
All sorts of other things that you can do to really give your client the best time.
Yeah.
And then to conclude,
oh
yeah, woo, we're still going. Marketing.
This is a doozy of a course.
Marketing and business. We're trying to get into as much as we can to help you begin photography in the wedding industry. So let's talk about marketing and business, because you are not just an artist. You are going to actually be a business person as well.
Unless you want to be a starving artist.
Unless you want to be a starving artist.
Just ignore this module.
But if you want to make it as a photographer, you will have to become okay at business, I should say.
No, you need to be good at it.
You need to be good at business. And so that's what we're going to be covering in this module, is how to create business plans for yourself, making your website, how to market on social media, advertising, what legal stuff you need to protect yourself.
Mm-hmm. We'll talk about branding yourself, because as a photographer, you are most likely going to be a personal brand. We'll talk about the different CRMs, which are going to be the programs and software that are going to help you keep everything organized.
What's that stand for?
Client retention management. I don't know. I actually don't know. We'll talk about networking. So finding within your local city, or even traveling for networking events, conferences. So we'll talk about that. And then we're going to talk about copywriting. So writing the words that will go on your website and your marketing, on your socials, things like that. And then last, we'll talk about having good vendor relationships, because that will be a major source of continued business for you if you can build good vendor relationships.
Yeah.
And then our last module is just about troubleshooting.
Yeah, so throughout this series, we are going to be fielding questions from you guys. Put them in the comments. Any questions that you have trying to get into this industry. And towards this last module, we will compile the most frequent questions and try to tackle as many questions you guys have out there. So, yeah, I hope you're excited about this course. Hope you want to get in this industry, because we have enjoyed it throughout our lives. So if you would, subscribe to our channel.